Hey everyone, we're running through English Language Paper 2, but remember of course today that Paper 2 and Paper 1's questions are really similar. So if we run through it quick, this is a choice question, you just shade some of the blocks. Question 2 is the one that's different because it asks you to write a summary. So if you look on the Knowledge Organizer guide, you give the example of a ping pong table. So remember, if you look here, ping pong, you go, in source A, the thing looks like this, whereas in source B, it looks like that. You skip a line. And you ping pong 3 or 4 times, dependent on what you want to choose. Your inference, you can see that's a shorter one. This has got a little bit more detail. This one's my most detailed, which will probably push me into 5 or 6 marks, likely for that. If I add in any one of these a bit more inference, then I would get 8 out of 8. So I wouldn't necessarily need 4 paragraphs. 3 would be more than a pass. Okay, I'm going to let you pause now and just read this, okay? The exam paper is about snow. I will send the text along so that you can have a read if you wish, but you don't actually need the text to understand the style of the writing. And we're just focusing on the style now. Pause now quick and read this. So you can see very precise quote selection. That's the green. That's what you want. What you don't want to do is sum up without the quotes because those are your evidence. Something that is worth noticing here is when you write a summary, you don't need to mention the methods at all, so they don't get you any mark. You simply look at, in this case, how the weather is different and compare. Specifically because it says the different ways people are affected by the weather, so they're not looking for similarities. The only way this question could change is when they write similarities or differences. But in this case, it's just differences. If it was similarities and differences, you wouldn't have to look equal amounts of those two things. You would just look at whatever was most obvious. Right. Question 3 is the same as English Language Paper 1, Question 2. It's the same style. So what I've done here is I've copied the answer we have previously done because we're not needing the text here. We're looking at how it's been written. So this is the Midwich one, and was just literally read it through again to remind yourself of how it sounds, because that's the skill. You notice the purple? That's when I'm using my own metaphors or similes to explain. We like doing that, and we want to do that. In terms of how many methods should you pick? Well, this question is for 12 marks, so you might write a little bit more than in paper 1, but then again you might not because it's about the quality of your inference. So if you look over here at all the stuff I would write, I might actually write up these extra ones as a 3rd paragraph. Any one of those as a 3rd paragraph, not all of them. Unless I wanted full marks, then I would do all of them. Right, question 4. Just turn this over, is again, if you look here, it's the same as English Language Paper 1, question 2 and 3 combined. All right, now you've done all this before. They just ask you to compare. So you need the compare words. On your knowledge organizer, they give you a list. But I just like showing that people are saying the opposite things. So because the question says, compare how the writers convey different perspectives, I'm going to show that they're contrasting. So in every paragraph, I'm going to go, source A says something or other. This contrast with source B, which says the opposite. And I'm going to contrast the methods. So I start by just going, well, in this piece of writing, the first source is really negative and it's got a pattern. And source B is really positive and it's also got a pattern. And then I quote really precisely the pattern. So what you're going to do now is pause this video and quickly read these 2 paragraphs. All right, you've unpaused. So again, you can see I'm keeping it very simple. It still feels like I'm ping-ponging, yeah? Because that's what you do when you compare things. I'm also using my method to guide me. So I notice a method in source A that's easy to talk about, and then I look for the same method in source B, or vice versa, and I just compare them. The purple, attacking, snow-drowned world, further down, warlike. These are my own similes or metaphors, and doing that always pushes my mark up. All right, have a look at my last part. This is for 16 marks, but you'll notice I've written a similar length to question 3, which was for 12 marks. It's the inference, the things that say this suggests, this implies. That's what pushes the mark up, not an additional paragraph. So keep it 3 nice paragraphs and focus on inference. All right. Now, of course, we get to question 5, which is persuade. But remember, it's not going to specifically tell you to persuade. This is the previous question. It just says, snow seems like it's picturesque, exciting, and fun, when in reality it causes accidents, inconvenience, and economic disruption, which means it's expensive. People lose money. Write an article for a newspaper where you explain your point of view. They mean persuade. So they're giving you a dull topic so that you create the power. Now, if you want to plan, these are 2 different ways of planning, right? Some people find writing a list of words makes them feel safe. Do that if it makes you feel safe. For me, I do the green highlights. Instead of planning the words, I plan out the skills that I know I must include, and then I tick them off to check that I've done them. You can do this version, that version, or no version. Decide for yourself, because there's no mark for the plan at all. Persuasive features, I've graded these here. The green ticks are the ones we do without even thinking. The green stars are very full of marks. The yellow stars really push your mark up a whole grade, literally a whole grade. But the blue is the cleverest thing to choose here, because that's storytelling. So whatever topic they give you, if you go into storytelling mode and you tell the audience a story, it doesn't matter whether it's in this, write a letter, speech, or article. You use storytelling as your vehicle to persuade, you will always end up persuading really well. So again, here is my attempt at a positive version of snow days. So you're just going to pause now and read this. Here's the first bit. And then here is the next bit. Pull that out a sec. Just pause and read. Okay, now here, these are our targets, right? These ones here are the ones that will push you a whole grade up, okay? Now, we've color-coded the skills. What's really important to see is the introduction connects with the conclusion. So you see how it says freedom and snow day in the introduction? Conclusion's got snow days represent freedom. It's echoed in the conclusion. Now here's a question. Do you write the introduction conclusion first, or do you just write from paragraph 2 first and leave a space? It's the same as, do you write the title first, or do you write the title last? What's the answer? You go with what is easiest for you. Some people write the title in the introduction and conclusion first, and then the middle afterwards. Other people start with paragraph 2, do everything else, they write the conclusion, and then they take the conclusion and make an introduction. People write the whole thing and then do a title. You choose what works for you, okay? Now, you've seen this example, which is positive. I'm now going to show you one more, which you can read through And this one is a negative example. All right, so pause now and just read this piece. And then read the rest of it down here. So again, both of these will pass. This one is too long, so it's a good question. If I write too long, am I penalized? In this case, the answer is no, but I would never advocate to write more than 400 words. Go around for 300, cap yourself at 400 because, preserve your energy. All right. This one gets slightly higher than the previous one because this one is simply more passionate. Now, if you want a challenge, here is a good challenge for you. We have been trying to predict previous questions we think they could ask us that haven't been asked before. So all of these ones here have been done before. These ones here are our list of what they haven't asked before. So why don't you pick one to give a go? How would you answer it? How would you turn it into a story format, an anecdote? Have a look at this one. This is a version of it. Right, now at this point, please check your email for more examples of these. And good luck for tomorrow. It will be fine. You have done a lot of work on this and you're ready for it.